This is my 1976 Jaguar XJ6, and in this series I'm doing a full nut and bolt restoration while turning it into my dream resto mod. In the last episode I stripped the car down in preparation for it to be sent off for a full bare metal body respray. In the meantime, my plan is to fully rebuild the original engine. And here it is. So this is a 4.2 litre straight six with double overhead cams and originally fitted with twin SUs, and it's putting out about 180 brake horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque. Now we already know this engine is good because the compression test shows good and even compressions over all 6 cylinders, but we're still going to strip it down and fully rebuild it before adding some key upgrades and modifications. And the first step is to remove the head, which will be sent off to a specialist to be fully rebuilt with new valves and reinforced springs, and then resurfaced to make sure that we've got a good seal to the block. Talking of the block, it was in great shape. There was no wear to any of the cylinders, and all of the waterways looked to be in good condition. So the next step was to finish stripping down the engine, remove all of the pistons, and fully clean every single item of this engine ready for its reassembly. With the engine block thoroughly cleaned, degreased and masked up, it was time to give it a lick of paint to make it look factory fresh. I started with a coat of rust treatment primer before applying 3 coats of black engine enamel. Next up, and after having cleaned all 6 pistons, it was time to fit them with brand new piston rings. I started with the oil control ring, then fitted the intermediate compression ring, and then the upper compression ring. This was a rather fiddly job and a long process, but I was taking my time, hoping to only have to do it once. With the first one out the way, there are only 5 more to do. And here they are finished. Now these pistons may not look brand new, but they are in good shape and more than sufficient for what we're going to be asking of them. So after using a honing tool to clean up the cylinders, it was time to drop the pistons back into the block. Now my dad thought it was best to stand in front of the camera while I was filming most of this process, but you get the general idea. With all of the pistons in, we can turn the block over to drop in the new shells and refit the crank. Next, I refitted all of the caps and torqued them down. Next it was time to refit all of the timing gear, the oil pump and the oil pickup. So as to future-proof this engine as much as I can, I fitted a brand new oil pump, brand new timing chain and brand new timing chain tensioners. Now Dad insisted that I spend hours polishing the timing chain cover, and although I grumbled at him, he was right. It looks great polished up, and it's time to refit it to the engine. Now while we're doing this, we're obviously fitting brand new main seals that are uprated to the crank and brand new gaskets throughout.
Yeah, they filming one because it looks better.
After double and triple checking everything on the bottom of the engine, I thoroughly cleaned the mating surface after having cleaned up all of the sump and the oil strainer, and it was time to put the sump back on the engine. I then went ahead and started refitting the engine ancillaries such as the water pump, the crankshaft pulley and the oil filter housing, all of which have been meticulously cleaned up and repainted. With the engine back up the right way, I installed a brand new head gasket, and with the head finally back from the shop, it was time to finish off building this engine. And I couldn't be happier with the results. This engine has turned out exactly how I wanted it to be, and being my first engine build, it was pretty daunting taking this project on, but with the help of my dad, plenty of research, and taking our time to do things properly, I think we did a really great job. Now, I spoke about some tasty upgrades for this engine, and don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I'm going to be showing you everything that I'm going to be adding onto this engine and to the car in a future episode. In the meantime, I completely stripped down and repainted the power steering pump. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm no painter and this is my first time, but the paint actually came out quite well. And after rebuilding the fuel pumps, it was time to do something with the rocker covers. I originally had them painted bright red, but then very quickly decided this was a mistake, so I decided to get creative. After spraying them with a dark tinted varnish, which I didn't like the finish of either, I then sanded them back with wet and dry 2000 grit paper, and I have to say, I absolutely fell in love with the result. The light red shines through the dark tinted varnish to give what I call the lava effect. And I love the way that these look, giving it a slightly custom feeling, but not too far away from what they would have originally been. And here they are, fitted to the engine. And this is the finished result. So this engine is now ready to be put in the car. I've just loosely put on the cam covers for now because I will be taking them off during fitting to make sure that they don't get scratched or damaged when the engine does go in the car. And this is now being stored, ready to go back in the vehicle. So we're waiting for the car to come back from the body shop. We've got the gearbox just down there, ready to go on the back of the engine as well. And now we're waiting for the whole car to come back to be able to put this back in. So the next stage is to rebuild all of the suspension, and I've got a bit of a video coming up to show you all of the nice shiny bits and performance parts and upgrades that I've bought for this car, which I will show you next time. So I'll see you then.